All right, greetings math people. Today we're going to be looking at GRE math problems. So we're not talking about the GRE math subject test, but just the general GRE math, the general GRE test, but we're going to be just looking at problems from the math section. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Specialize in science and mathing, original black men, busting thoughts that pierce your mental, the fierce, ripping your section, vocal toe-to-toe, impeccable, splitting your back, son, simple as addition and subtraction, black thought, the infinite relax one.
All right, so I took the GRE about 20 years ago, or over 20 years ago. I did pretty well, quite honestly. I did very well on the math section. I did pretty good on the analytical section as well, and the difference between those two sections is I knew I did well on the math section as I was doing it, and the analytical section as I was doing it, I had no idea whether I was doing well or not. I had no idea if my answers were correct or not. So I was pretty surprised at how well I did on the analytical section. And I did pretty good on the verbal as well. I didn't do as good as I wanted to, or as good as I expected to. So the verbal was the lowest of the three scores. And I was a bit surprised because I had a pretty well vocabulary. I had a habit of, reading a lot of books. And every time I would read a book, I would always write down any word that I didn't know and write down its definition and try to practice its definition and utilize it. And so that habit kind of made me expand my vocabulary pretty nicely. So I thought I would do better than I did on the verbal. I did okay, just not as well as I expected to. I actually expected my verbal to be closer to where my math was, but my math was highest and analytical was close and verbal was a little down below. So to be perfectly honest, I haven't looked at anything to do with the GRE for the last 20 years. I have no idea how the test has changed. If it has changed any, I'm pretty sure it must have changed in some form or fashion. I did no prep work. This is really somewhat of a spontaneous video. I just felt like doing some live GRE math questions. So I haven't researched any resources or anything. I'm going to do all that live. This is all live and raw. There's a certain entertainment value when doing it such as this. So in doing it, I'm really doing it because I enjoy doing math problems. So there's a bit of intrinsic fun for me just doing these GRE math problems. But there is something you can learn from them. So to do tests like this, I think probably the most important things to learn, other than knowing the information. And what I do remember is the GRE math, it didn't cover very advanced mathematics. I think algebra and geometry is about as far as it went. Maybe there was trig. If so, it was very elementary. Definitely wasn't any calculus or anything like that. We'll see in a second when we look at if any of that has changed. But as we're going through it, I'll talk about some of the tricks or trades that I'm using to get the answer. So I'll talk through getting the answers. The key is to be able to do this as fast and as efficient as possible. So there may be a more detailed and maybe more instructive way of doing a problem, but if I can figure out a way to do the problem very efficiently, I'm going to go with that. And that's kind of the method, the go-to procedure for standardized tests such as this. And the skills, and I haven't used these skills very recently. I haven't took a standardized test in a very long time. But, I still remember the skills and the procedures that I utilize. And for those of you that are just now embarking on, maybe taking SAT or GRE or LSAT or MCAT or whatever the standardized test is, you just want to practice doing a lot of different tests because I'll help you develop the different skills that are very useful in these standardized tests. A lot of the things I've kind of just developed on my own. Others I learned from using test prep books like Princeton Review and Barron's and the such. And so I recommend those for anyone have to take any type of standardized test beyond the GRE. Do a lot of standardized tests, utilize the particular skills that they show you, and then you're going to develop your own. So with further ado, I'm just going to, I'm going to Google GRE math questions. I'm going to try to decipher what I use as a reputable source. Hopefully it's something that can either score the answers as I go or, right after I finish. Again, I'm doing this live with zero preparation. I'm pretty sure I'll do well on these questions. I probably won't make 100, So I'm not anticipating making 100, but I'm probably sure I'll do well enough where I won't feel embarrassed. So I'm able to do this live. And the reason why I probably won't make 100, bad tendency I have is I tend to go faster sometimes versus waiting around and to check the work. But on tests like this, it's kind of what you want to do. You want to get it done as fast as possible so time doesn't expire on you. So let's go ahead and just Google GRE math questions, see what pops up, and let's do some questions. All right. Well, they got math practice there. Let's just go GRE math practice. Princeton Review. Okay. A very reputable company. Let's see what we have. There we go. All right, let's take a practice exam. No, we don't want any notifications. Do I have to add this to the cart even though it's free? I'm going down something. Maybe I should have used something else. Okay, we're gonna abort this mission. Even though I like Princeton Review, let's find something where I can just get straight to questions. All right. E-test, these used to be the people that wrote the test. Okay, looks like, all right. Looks like here we can get some questions. All right, so we got 170 minutes, so almost 3 hours for 66 questions. For the sake of this video, I'll do about 20 minutes of work or so. So I don't know how many questions that will be. I could assume in 20 minutes, maybe I get about 25 or so questions, but who knows? So let's just go ahead and dive in. And wow, this is limits. This is the GRE math test. So I didn't want to go to the math test. Not that we can't do any of this, integrals, and it's really not what I wanted to do. So yeah, so I didn't want to do the subject test, just the quantitative section of the regular test. That was good though. Maybe a later video we'll look at, you know, the GRE math subject test. That one we won't do live. That one there'll be a little preparation for it. Math practice test. Okay. This company, I'm not familiar with. So it's a video start test. All right, so I've never heard of this company. Metrics. Let's just hope it's authentic problems. All right, let's get started. All right, even if they're not authentic, it should be pretty fun to do. Okay. All right, so compare quantity A to quantity B. Okay, quantity A is X. You have 10 to what I have, 10 zeros. So X is 10 and the other number is 12. So quantity B is greater. Okay, so another comparison of quantity A and quantity B. So quantity A is the y-intercept of line A, and the y-intercept looks to be 5. And quantity B is the slope, and the slope looks to be -2. So the slope is smaller. So quantity B is smaller. Quantity B is greater. No, quantity A is greater. All right. The symbol that represents more than once in a question is the same meaning throughout the questions. Okay, so we're still comparing quantities here. All right. So quantity B is 3 and quantity A is y over x. I want to apologize with the little setup. I got kind of a lot of things set up here, and these problems are the furthest. I have like 3 different cameras and things here, and this screen that I'm looking at these problems is the furthest from this, so it's taking me, I got to kind of squinch in. I should have set this up a little bit better, but this is kind of the way I had to. So let me make this bigger if I can. Well, okay, so excuse me, I'm going to have to get closer on this one to see this. I apologize. Okay, so I want to get y. Well, that triangle is 3 times is big. So y divided by x is 3. All right, so those quantities are equal there. Okay, another A. So the average income Jane paid, the following displays the income Jane's business earned and the percentage of that income she paid in taxes. Okay, so the percentage of taxes, the numbers with a lot of zeros are pretty easy numbers to manage. And this is 22% of Jane's income. Okay, this one seems like a good problem. Like this one is gonna take a little longer than the previous problem. So this one we might have to write some stuff. So let me calculate. So let me think about this one for a minute. Do I want to calculate the tax paid, or do I want to weight the percentages and just see what the average percentage would be? So let's see. I think I'm going to calculate the percent. I'm going to calculate the tax and then just see what percentage of the total it is. So we got 10% of 10,000. So we have 1,000, 30% of 50,000. So that's 15,000. And then we have 20% of 20,000. So that's 4,000. So that's 16. So right now I'm working with 20,000. And then we have 10% of 10,000. So that's 1,000 again. So 21K. And then I have 20% of 30,000. That's 6,000, 27K. And then we have 40% of 9,000. That's 36. Not 36,000. Yeah, that's 36,000. So that's 36K plus 26K. So that's 63K. So 63K is what she ended up paying total in taxes. And so let's see if this is less than or greater than 22% of her average income. So we're going to add the income up, and so we have 10 and 50, that's 60, and then another 20, that's 80, and then a 10, that's 90, and there's another 90 on the bottom, so that's 180, plus the 30 I haven't used, 210. So her income is 210K. 22% would not be greater than 63K. 22% would be, in the 40s. So the 63K is greater. So which quantity is that? That's quantity A. So quantity A is greater. All right. That one took a little time, more time than I would like. I spent a lot of time just talking about it. I should just got to it. Okay. And it looks like this little guy is only 15 questions. So we'll go through the whole test to see how we did. All right, so Q is the smallest composite number greater than 2, and P is the smallest prime number less than 10. All right, so the smallest composite number greater than 2 would be 4. So P is 4. and the smallest prime number less than 10 that's Q. Q is 4. And the smallest prime number less than 10, that would be 3. And so P over Q, what is P over Q? I got 0.75. That's not there. So let's check what my error was. So the smallest composite number greater than 2 would be 4. Q is 4. The smallest prime number, the smallest prime number less than 10 would be 2. I was thinking in my head the number had to be greater than 2, but that was only for Q. So we have P over Q, right? So that's 4 divided by 2. That's 2. Okay, so 1 over 25 to the power of n. It looks like for which value of n is the above statement true? So I want 1 over 25 to the power of n to be greater than 1. Which means basically I want 25 to the power of n to be less than 1. So I want 25 to the power of n to be less than 1. So basically I want a negative exponent is what I want. And I see one negative exponent. I really can't see what this one is saying, but negative 1/2. So let me just get closer, make sure that one is not a negative number as well. No, it looks like that one says the square root of 2. So negative number. 25 to the negative 1/2 is 1 over 5. And so you have 1 over 1 over 5, which would give you 5, which definitely would be greater than 1. All right. Geometry. Now, probably of all the elementary math subjects, geometry is the one where I don't remember a lot of the facts and theorems. But generally I can figure it out. So let's see. I think I can see all the letters. So lines L and M are parallel. Okay, cool. O is the center of a circle. Cool. The measure of angle D is 45. I think I see where D is. And the length of RS is the square root of 2 over 2 RS. Okay, I see RS. Line RS forms a right triangle with M. RS. Okay, cool. So what is the measure of angle A? Okay, I see angle A. Okay, so angle D, didn't they tell me D was 45? And angle A is an alternate interior angle with angle D, so angle A would be 45. Okay, that didn't seem bad. Saying guy, they must have heard me say that sometimes geometry gets me, so they gave me another one. So I just figure all the information is the same. And now they want me to find the length of PR. This is PR here. Now, it says that RS forms a right triangle with M. So that means that this angle right here is 90 degrees. And D is 45, so this angle has to be 45. And this is also a right angle, so then this angle has to be 45. So you have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, a right isosceles triangle, where this side RS is the square root of 2 over 2. So then this side PR has to be the same. The legs of an isosceles right triangle are the same. So PR also has to be the square root of 2 over 2. Okay, not bad. They still want to throw this guy at me. I gotta be listening. So now what is the measure? What is the diameter of O? Okay, that's a pretty good question. Well, it's the hypotenuse of a triangle whose legs are the square root of 2 over 2. So if you remember 45, 45, 90 triangle, the difference between the legs well, the hypotenuse is bigger from the legs by a factor of the square root of 2. So all I have to do is multiply the square root of 2 over 2 by the square root of 2, which would give me 2 over 2 or 1. All right, that's not bad. Are you going to give me the same guy another time? No. Okay, Venn diagram. Very hard to read. I apologize for leaving the screen to read this. So the correct answer may be just one of the choices, or maybe many as all of the choices. No credit is given. Okay, circle A represents students who major in liberal arts at a certain university. Circle B represents students who major in life sciences at that university. And circle C represents engineering students at the same university. Okay, so what's the question? So what is the union of A and B? And in the middle that says part-time jobs. So only the students of liberal arts. Does it say part-time job? Yeah. So let me see what's the union of A and B is only the subset of liberal arts and life science double majors. All liberal arts and life science students, only liberal arts students, only life science students. So I see it as none of those. It's the liberal arts students and the life science students, apparently, that have part-time jobs. That does say part-time job. It doesn't say double major, right? Yeah, part-time jobs. So I don't see anything. So does it say I could not choose anything? So let me see the directions. The correct answer may be just one of the choices, or maybe as many as all of them. So it's looking like I have to choose one of them. And what C is engineering students. So we're talking about the union of A and B, which is this guy right here. Only the subset of liberal arts and life science double majors. No. All liberal arts and life science students. Yes. I spent too much time on that. I was thinking of the intersection, not the union. So the union is just all those. Okay. And we're doing this live, folks. Okay, now the intersection. So this would be those with double majors. All right, the subset of liberal arts and life science students with double majors. Okay. So now another quantity A and quantity B. So A plus B squared, A star B equals A times B squared plus A plus B squared. So which quantity is greater, 2 star 5 or 150? All right, so let's just see what 2 star 5 is. So 2 star 5 would be 10 squared. That's 100 plus 7 squared plus 49. So that's 149. So quantity B is greater. Quantity B is greater. All right, and we got 3 more to go. Feel pretty good about most of these problems. I don't anticipate myself missing any, at least thus far. So let's see. And generally, so I'm not exemplifying the best practices in the world. Generally, if you're really taking this and you're preparing for these tests, you should really read the question through carefully. Again, I told you I have this proclivity to kind of do things fast. So I'm kind of bypassing reading, but you should really read the question all the way through. So let's see. So I'm just trying to get the good information. So let's go engineering department, 36 students total. The department has twice as many males as females and 3 times as many international students as U.S. students. All right, so this is good males and females. So let's let M represent the number of males. And let's let 3M, wait, the department has twice as many males as female students. So let's do it like this. Let's let F be the number of female students, and let's let 2F be the number of male students. And that gives us a total of 36 students. So that means there's 12 females and 24 males. Okay. And let's do the international and U.S. citizens. So the department has twice as many, 3 times as many international students as U.S. students. So let U be the number of U.S. students, and so let 3U be the number of international students, and that equals 36. So that's 4U, so U is 9, so 9 is U.S., and so 27 would be international. All right, so let's do the comparison. What are we comparing? Number of U.S. students, that's quantity A, that's 9. Number of female students, that's 12. So female students is greater. Female is quantity B. Quantity B is greater. All right, a little more geometry. So let's see what we got. R is the center of the circle. Quantity A is half the circumference. So looks like the radius is 2. So the circumference is going to be 4 pi. So half the circumference will be 2 pi. So half the circumference is 2 pi. And quantity B is the area of triangle QRS, or the area of that triangle. So the area of the triangle is 2. Base and height are both 2. So it's 4 divided by 2, so 2. So 2 is less than 2 pi, or 2 pi is greater than 2. And 2 pi is quantity A, so quantity A is greater. All right, last problem. Okay, let's see. The graph shows the GDP in trillions of dollars for 4 countries between 2000 and 2008. All right, quantity A, the combined GDP of Japan, China, and Canada in 2008. And quantity B, the GDP of USA in 2008. So USA 2008, looks like 14. Yeah, it is 14. And let's see, Canada, we'll just round it to 2. And Japan and China, we can say 5, 10, 12. It's not at 6. So it wouldn't go past 14. So the US GDP would be the greatest. That's quantity B. The quantity B is greater. All right, so that was that. Let's see how we did. Again, I don't anticipate missing any problems. It's really not any problems I did know how to do. The one with the Venn diagram, I confused intersections with unions briefly. I'm glad the way they put the answer choices though, which allowed me to correct my mistake. If they hadn't put the answer choices like that, I probably would have missed that particular problem. But I don't anticipate missing any, but I could have, because like I say, a lot of times I go fast. So let's see if this kind of scores it for us and tells us what mistakes we made. So I did miss one problem, 14 out of 15. And let's see what we missed. The smallest composite. Let's see. So a prime number is a positive number. That's the, of course, positive is by one and itself. The number 1 is neither prime nor, because the smallest composite number greater than 2 is 4. I believe I had that. And the smallest prime number less than 10 is 2. I believe I had that. So therefore, did I Where is that? Where's the paper that had that? So let me see if I labeled P and Q correctly. P was 2, Q is 4. I did have that labeled correct. But did I do the correct dividing? Yeah, the division is P divided by Q. I did Q divided by P. So I pretty much told you I probably wouldn't get 100% because my tendency to do stuff too fast. Not that I didn't know the question, but just did a little quicker, divided in the wrong order, and that happens. But that was pretty fun. I hope you enjoyed it. In the proceeding of finding these questions, and I really don't know how authentic these questions are. They were, but they seem like pretty good questions. So even if they weren't tremendously authentic, I feel like they were. They seem to be good problems to do. Since I inadvertently went to that GRE subject math test and it looked a little enticing, let's look to do a video on doing some of those problems at a later date. That won't be as spontaneous as this. That test is a little more serious, and that's something I probably would have to prep for before I do that test versus doing it on the fly. But we'll see what happens. So we hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.